Okay, we're going to work on topic number 40 right now. As you can see at the beginning of this question, we are looking to get rid of a couple of things from the bottom of these fractions. So I want to get rid of this and this. And to do that, I'm just going to multiply both sides by v plus 5. So just like that. So I'm basically multiplying everything by v plus 5. So what that does is that eliminates those bottoms for me. So what I'm going to be left with here, the v plus 5 down here will cancel with that one I'm multiplying by. So I'll have just a 2. And then I'll do that negative 3. That's going to be multiplied by v plus 5 because the v plus 5 goes to all three terms, that one, and that one. And then I'm going to set that equal to just a 5 because this v plus 5 gets canceled out as well. Now I'm just solving for v. So 2, that's negative 3v minus 15 equals 5. I'm pretty certain we can solve this from this point. So let me just kind of go to the answer here. That would be 10 minus 2, I think, is 8. Hopefully, I'm doing this right here. That would be 20. I'm sorry. Nope, that's not right. So it'd be 20 minus 2, which is 18. I'm sorry, I did that backwards. Okay, so that'd be 18 divided by negative 3, divided by negative 3. We get v equals 6. Now, the last thing we need to do before we type that into ALEKS as our final answer is we need to check our original question. If I plug that in for v on the bottom of one of those fractions and it equals 0, then that's going to be one of those no solution cases. Luckily, in this case, we'll have 6 plus 5 on the bottom for both of those, which is 11, which is not a 0, obviously, so that would be a solution. But that's something you need to check at the end. Can you plug in your number without getting a 0 on the bottom of your fraction? Because if so, that would be no solution. Topic number 41. I'm looking at this originally and I'm seeing 5x plus 25 and x plus 5. Obviously, we have different things on the bottoms of our fractions, but the good thing is 5x5 goes into 5x 25 evenly. So I can just multiply both sides by 5x plus 25. And that's going to do good things for me. So I'm going to be able to cancel out the first one, right? So I'll just be left with a negative 6 there. And then I'm going to multiply this negative 2 times that. So I'm just going to go ahead and distribute that right away. So it'll be negative 10x minus 50 equals, and then I know there's an x plus 5 in there somewhere. Where would that x plus 5 come from? I'll show you over here on the side. 5x plus 25 is the same thing as 5 times x plus 5. If I pulled out a 5, this x plus 5 is canceling with this x plus 5, leaving us with just a 5 and technically a negative 6. So 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Now I can solve for x. So this would be, I think, 26. I'm doing this fast, so if I get it wrong, just bear with me here. But that would divide by negative 10, divide by negative 10. X equals, what would that be? Negative 13 over 5. I think that's right. So that negative 13 over 5, we should check one more time. Does it make the bottom turn into a 0 if I plug it in? In this case, it won't. I think it gives me like a negative 8 or something like that. So we're good to go, but you could plug that into your calculator if you're not sure. Topic number 42. The good thing about topic number 42 is even though we have three different things on the bottom of our fractions, the x plus 3 and the x plus 6, I'm just noticing if I were to factor this, I think we would get x plus 3 and x plus 6. So what we can do is we can multiply this entire thing by that. I don't know why I was saying x plus 3 and x plus 6. I mean u. So we can multiply this whole thing by u plus 3 and u plus 6. And if we do that, this whole thing gets canceled out because that's what its factors are. So we're left with a 3 equals, the u plus 3's will cancel out here. That'll leave me with the u plus 6 and the 1, which means we'll just have u plus 6 if I distribute the 1. I like to change this to a negative 4, but then the u plus 6 will cancel out with the other u plus 6, and we'll have u plus 3 times negative 4, which is negative 4u minus 12. Oh, there we go. Pen might be dying. Okay, so then, again, we're just solving. So we'll do, let's see, negative 3 plus 12 is, I think, 9 equals negative 3u. So u must equal negative 3. And we should check in our original question, if I erase these, does this negative 3 make anything equal 0 on the bottom of the fraction? And the answer is yes. We cannot have this as a solution because that will make this fraction turn into 1 over 0. So this one actually has no solution. It's kind of tricky, and you got to make sure you look out for that. Topic number 43. I'm noticing on topic number 43 we have two different things on our denominator, but the bad part is we can't multiply this by like 2 or anything like that to make it equal. So what we're just going to have to do here is luckily it's just a fraction equal to another fraction, so we can cross multiply and divide. This is a proportion because we've got two fractions set equal to each other. So I'm going to take these two and multiply them together, which means I'll have x squared plus 7x. And then I'll take these two and multiply them together, which means I'll have negative x minus 15. And then at this point, I'm going to solve for x. Whoops, don't know what happened there. Sorry, I'm going to solve for x, which means I'll have x squared and plus 8x, and plus 15. So now I've got to factor this. If I do that, I will get, because this is equal to 0, I moved everything to one side. So then I'll have x and x, two things that multiply to give me 15 and add to give me 8 would be 3 and 5. Which means my two solutions are negative 3 and negative 5. We have to check them. If we plug them in, it looks to me like that's going to work just fine. So we won't have any zeros on the bottom of our fraction. Those are our answers. Next one, topic number 44. On topic number 44, I notice I have an x on the bottom. That means I'm just going to multiply it through with an x. So everything in here is going to get an x now. That means 4 different spots. So here, 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 and there are all going to get an x. So therefore, we'll have negative 6x plus 28, because those x's cancel out, equals x squared minus 9x. If I move everything to one side, I'll have 0 equals x squared minus 3x minus 28. So let's see. I think 7 and 4 would work if I factor this. Somehow 7 and 4 would work. So x and x. We'll do a negative 7 and a positive 4. I think that would be right. So positive 7 and negative 4 are my two solutions. We should check, but there's really nothing to check. We just can't have a 0 on the bottom of the fraction. Topic number 45. I've got two separate things on the bottom of the fraction again. So I'm going to multiply this entire thing by v minus 2, and I'm going to multiply it by v minus 1. So that means when I multiply it, it's going to be by 3 different things. We have 3 terms, so we'll have 4 times v minus 2 and v minus 1. We'll have that v minus 2 is going to cancel with the v minus 2, so we'll have 3 times v minus 1 left over. Equal to, that negative 1 is going to be there. The v minus 1 is going to cancel out, and we'll be left with v minus 2. And now we're going to do a lot of solving here. So we'll do 4 v squared. By the way, I guess maybe I should explain this. I'm going to FOIL this parenthesis first, but I'm going to do that in my head and then at the end multiply it by 4. So the first two terms would be v squared, so I'll do 4v squared. My outside terms would be v and -1, so there'd be a -1v, which is the same thing as, well, I guess I'm going to multiply it by 4, so I'll have -4v. My inside terms would be the -2 and the v, so -2v times 4 is -8v. And then my last terms would be a +2, so that'd be just +8 when I multiply it by the 4. There's a lot going on there. Just try to rewind if you didn't get that. You'll get it. Plus 3v, I'm just distributing, minus 3 equals -1v plus 2. I'm going to move everything to one side here, so there's a lot going on. So I'll do the v, or the 4v squared. If I move all of the v's to the left side, I'll get, so that's -12. -12 plus 3 is -9. And I'm going to add 1 over to that side. So it'd be a -8. And then just the numbers would be an 8. That means -5. Got to subtract 2 from that side. So it'd be a -7. Did I do that right? 8, +5 minus 2 would be a 3, sorry. That equals 0 because I moved everything to the left. Now I'm going to factor, and this is where some of my students had some trouble. But I know for sure that this has got to be a 3 and a 1 because those have to multiply to get 3. And then also, I know that it has to be two negatives because it's multiplying to get a positive and adding to get a negative. And then I just need to figure out how I'm going to separate this. So it's either going to be a 1 and a 4 or a 2 and a 2. I know that it's got to be a 2v and a 2v because that's the only way my insides and my outsides, when I add them together, give me -8. More for that in class if you have questions with that, but I just got to move on because I'm trying to keep this short. So then my two solutions would be a 3 over 2 and a 1 over 2. If you were trying to set these equal to 0, that's what you would get for v. And if I plug both of those in, we're going to be good to go on the bottom of those fractions. So those should work. This is kind of the same situation as the last question. I'm going to multiply by v plus 2 and v plus 7. So when we do that, my top part here, the v plus 2's will cancel out. I'll have v plus 7 still there, and I'll have that v plus 6 that was on the top of my fraction. That's going to be equal to the v plus 7's will cancel out this time, so we'll have v plus 5 and then the v plus 2 from over here. And then we're multiplying by 1, so it'll be plus v plus 7 and v plus 2. And then I'm probably not going to finish this because I want to keep this short, but you guys would FOIL this. You'd move everything to one side, so you'd have something equals 0, and it's probably going to be some type of quadratic, which you'll have to factor. You'll have to, it'll be, v something and v something. And then once you get your two answers, you're going to plug them back in to see if the bottoms would turn into zeros. If they turn into zeros, then you're going to have a no solution. Let's assume that just one turned it into a 0. Like if we had for example, a -2 and a 5 for our two answers, -2 would not work because it would turn that into a 0. So that one would be gone. We would still type in the 5 though. That's still a solution. Topic number 47. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into this because I want to keep the video short, but I know that this quadratic would factor into these two terms. So I'm going to multiply this by y minus 4 and y plus 3. And if I do that, this would cancel because that's its factors. So we'd be left with 13y minus, the y minus 4 will cancel. We'll have the 6 and the y plus 3. On the other side of the equal sign, the y plus 3's will cancel. We'll be left with y times y minus 4. And again, I'm not going to finish this, but you can distribute those and then move everything to one side of the equal sign. So you should have a 0 there. And then you'll factor your quadratic into your two factors. And then you got to find your two solutions. But again, you just have to check those solutions up here to see if they turn the bottom of those fractions into a 0. That's all I'm going to go through on that problem. If you have questions, make sure you ask, but that should get you a good start. Okay, that ends the unit.